this article, I really feel like I broke through to a new level of my understanding, and there was a lot of grief in it for me to really see this. It's a wound that isn't fully healed in myself. It's something that Steve and I are actively working on at the moment in healing with our own family. Let's start talking about the subject, because there's a lot to talk about. We need to help each other with scripts. We need to encourage each other with ideas, and just let's see if all of us can really help start working on our own codependence. Thanks for all the feedback that we've received on the new movies that Steve and I have recently put out. And I just wanted to reassure a few people who've written in and were asking whether I was okay, that you're probably pretty perceptive, but I'm just tired. Rebuilding the websites over the last 4 months has really ended up being a much bigger job than I anticipated it being. It's been fairly emotional for me, I guess, because I spent 6 or 7 years building the websites in the first place, and I never really expected that I was going to need to rebuild them. But hey, things change, and people are using mobile phones now, and they're using iPads and various devices to access the internet. And I finally really had to just face the fact that rebuilding the old sites wasn't going to cut it any longer, and I really had to move everything over to WordPress. Since I have so much material online, Steve and I have so much material online, it really has been a massive job. And I guess the hardest thing about the job's been that really from the beginning I had no idea how long it was going to take. It was just something that we just had to hop in and take on. I really am looking forward to getting a bit of a video diary happening here where I talk to everyone a little bit more regularly, and I can get back to you particularly about comments that are coming in and try and get it a little bit more two-way. Eventually we really do want to still be able to do group chats and where we can actually start talking to people in real time, face to face. Unfortunately, our internet service here isn't fast enough for that yet, but hopefully it won't be too much longer, and that'll happen. In the meantime, welcome to my video diary. Okay, so just something that I wanted to talk about quickly today, and that is how many comments we get coming back to us when we put movies out and when we put material out that is actually maybe analyzing us or trying to read Steve and I emotionally. We appreciate everyone's concern, and we appreciate that you're interested in us. But I just sort of wanted to highlight this because I think that there's maybe a lesson in it for us that we can learn from. One of the things that is really central in what I've learned about relationship skills and managing ourselves better socially is something called joining in the activity at hand. It's something that I've often teach to the kids, and that is that if they're in a classroom, even if what the teacher is offering maybe isn't always as well thought out as it could be, not all teachers are maybe as gifted as they could be. Really the best thing for them to do is to just focus on the activity that the teacher has planned. Try and join in as best as they can. And even if it isn't, so well put together, give it their best and try and help it be a better activity for everyone. And by doing this and not attracting attention to themselves by, maybe standing out and analyzing the teacher, it's going to make people in the class want to know them. It's going to make people want to get closer to them. Unlike the kids in the class that may be moving away from or moving against people. That's how psychologists sort of divide this up, where the moving away people may sit on the sidelines and act like they're sort of too good for the activity or to join in, and may take pot shots at the teacher or or criticized what's happening, where the moving, that's what the moving against kids do, where the moving away kids, might be more shy and draw into themselves and in that way not participate. Okay, so this comes back to me just wanting to talk about the comments that come in every time Steve and I start making movies. Is what I've noticed is probably 80% of them are actually analyzing us or trying to read some emotional subtext into what we're saying. People write in and say, oh, Steve didn't really look that angry, or are you okay, Kim? Are you feeling all right? You don't look like your normal self at the moment. I noticed that you interrupted Steve, and I'm wondering if that means, and all these various different analysis that we get of our movies. Now, as I say, we appreciate the feedback. But what I'm really trying to highlight here is that as codependents, and sometimes, codependents are also called empaths because we pick up other people's feelings and we read other people's emotions. But I'm just wondering if all of this is really useful. Because, for instance, with Steve and myself, we really struggle to put the material together that we offer. And when I say struggle, I mean that in a sense of we work hard on it. We have a family. We have busy office here where there is website building to do. There's always technical support that we need to offer people so that they can get our books. There's always things going on, and so it really is a struggle for us to find the time to develop new material. We're not financed in any way to develop new material. Like this website rebuild, for instance, that hasn't been financed at all. I've done 4 months unpaid work, basically, where I've been getting up literally at 5:30 a.m. in the morning and a lot of days working through till 10 at night. So yeah, I look tired probably. All of this doesn't necessarily really help in terms of getting into what we're offering or joining in the activity at hand. I would really like to encourage you, if you're watching this now, if you've followed us for a while, we've got this series that we've started on Better Conversation. It's a series that, right from the very first article of the series, which is free, and I'll put up on screen now for you to have a look at, I feel gets to the heart of the problem of codependence probably better than I ever have. I've been writing about narcissism and codependence for nearly 8 years now. It's a difficult subject to spend that much time on because it's depressing, and I try and keep it as up tempo as I can. But with this article, I really feel like I broke through to a new level of my understanding, and there was a lot of grief in it for me to really see this. It's a wound that isn't fully healed in myself. It's something that Steve and I are actively working on at the moment in healing with our own family, is becoming better conversationalists, teaching our kids to be better conversationalists, and facing our wounds around that we sustained in the past of having grown up in dysfunctional families. Now, I would really, again, like to encourage people to join in. Even if you don't want to become a member and continue on and do the whole training series that we're offering, the first free article on its own has got a lot of really valuable advice. Even just putting your mind to this as something that you want to focus on is going to set you on a different path over this Christmas season than you may have been otherwise. And if I'm tired, or if I interrupt Steve sometimes, or if before we made the movie there was a phone call that came in and maybe we're a little bit distracted when we're talking, I'm just wondering if that's let's try not to let this distract from what, the content that we're offering, because we really do put a lot of work into that content. And I guess I have to be honest that it does become frustrating for us. And I've seen this pattern, and I think that there's something to learn even in the pattern, is that over the years, probably, and I asked Steve about this morning at breakfast, and he said, yeah, probably about 80%, even 90% of the comments that come back every time we put something out, particularly in a video format, the comments are analyzing us and judging us, rather than actually being about the content that we offer. And I think that's a shame, because we really want to do more movies, but I don't want people just being able to sort of see inside our office and see, us and our faces and how we are, to distract too much from what it is that we're really, the real message that we're trying to get out to everyone. And I think this kind of maybe even applies into your own life as just something to think about. Because if you're reading people too much, if you're looking at people to see, is he really listening to me? Has he got something else on his mind? If you're analyzing people too much beyond the content of what they're saying to you, this can be frustrating. And I know that men really don't like it. And I know that it's something that Steve and I actually talk about quite a lot. When I brought it up with him earlier at breakfast today, he was talking about this funny meme about it, about this woman writing this whole page of dialogue about, in her diary about, I talked about this, and I don't think he was really, listening to me. His mind seems to be on something else, and her worrying about all these things about how that, what that meant about their relationship. And then on his side of it, it was just sort of one line, and it was just, worried that the motorbike still isn't kick-starting the first time. Where that's humorous, there's actually a lot of truth in it, is that, sometimes the people around us have other things on their mind that, maybe don't have anything to do with us. They may be frustrated or distracted or angry about stuff that we need to give them space for that. And we need to understand that the people around us, what they're feeling and what they're thinking isn't always going to be about us. And even sometimes when it is, we may note, I don't think that person's really interested in what I'm saying anymore. So maybe I just need to end the conversation and go do something else. That we can do that and not always take it personally, notice, but also just think, well, I don't know, what they got on their mind, but, I'll just give them some space. And this really is very central to actually overcoming codependence, is not feeling like we need to be responsible for other people's emotional states, and taking more responsibility for our own emotional states. So I am feeling a little bit frustrated about that. If you've been one of the people that's written in and made some comments and analysis of our last movies, please don't feel offended, because this isn't, is really even specifically at you. It's something that's built up over time. Steve and I went and we did some radio last week. That's something that it's taken us a long time to decide to do. In Australia, nobody talked about dysfunctional families, or it's particularly not domestic violence, for a long time. It was taboo. Now everybody's talking about it too much, and when I say too much, what I mean is that people tend to be very opinionated on the subject, and they paint it as a very black and white situation. They want to lay blame. And so, we've still been cautious about getting involved in that conversation, because there's a saying that any publicity is good publicity, and maybe going on the radio and even having people attack me might still attract attention to our work or to our books, but I've got better boundaries than that. I don't really selling books isn't that important to me, that I want to open myself up to that possibility. So we are really careful about who we talk to in the media, and we've had good reason for that, because in the past we have been ambushed a couple of times, and it wasn't really constructive or helpful for anyone. So this time around, we were cautious, and Steve actually wrote to them beforehand, and he said, look, while Kim and my early days, our story is sort of probably a bit sensational and, what you want to concentrate on, we don't mind you mentioning our past. That's part of the story, but really the story has come a long way since then. Kim's written 6 books, that he's helped co-author a few of them. We've got a couple of audio products that are out. He mentioned that I now mentor some very high-level professional people, including CEOs of companies, that are working with these concepts, not just in their marriage, but in their company structures. And he really told the radio station, he said, look, Kim really is an expert on this, and she's got, if you've got her on the show, you could really offer your listeners something, because I'm sure that they have questions that they'd like to ask, and she's really available, and it would be most happy to help people with her advice. And we just feel like that would possibly be a constructive use of our time, because I see it like this, and that is, at school, our kids, we focus on their physical development and their mental development, but where's the emotional development? Where is the training in this? There's this huge gap. One book from me, this is why we've written so many books and so many articles, and we put out so much information, because it's just a whole subject that should be being taught at school right from the beginning and right through, and it's missing. It's just not there. So I'm desperately looking for places and opportunities to teach people, to say, okay, and I want people to ask me questions. What's anger about? What's the best way to regulate it? What's jealousy about? So we try and swing it that way. But what do you think happened when we went on the radio? Of course, no, they don't want to ask any questions about any of that. All of the focus is just on, our sensational story, and them just looking at me incredulously, about why I didn't leave, and me having to sort of explain that. And, I tried to do it in a way as best I could and still give the listeners something valuable to take away from that. But, that's what I'm hoping this video diary can be, someplace where I really just am honest. I don't necessarily try and package what I'm saying really nice and neatly. I'll just try and get on here every day or every couple of days and just say what's on my mind, respond to what people have been writing in. But today I really would like to offer you that. Try and see if there's maybe somewhere in your life that you can start focusing on the activity at hand, rather than on reading and analyzing and judging the people that are around you and that are talking to you. Instead, maybe just see if you can focus on the content of what they're saying and see what they're offering. What are they offering? Are they offering something that they'd like you to be involved with? And if they are, give it a go. It's up to you. You're going to have to decide who you want to trust and who you want to listen to. At the end of the day, you're going to have to make the decision whether you want to trust Steve and I to help teach you some of the things that we're offering to teach. It is a big subject, however, and we'd really like to get more focus on the subject matter. We'd like to get the comments more focused on what it is that we're teaching, because, with the holidays coming up, particularly with what we're offering at the moment with this Better Conversation Skills, this is something that I really feel like we'd benefit if everybody could really get on board with and hop in and let's get the comments section, really going with the blog, because this is the other thing that tends to happen is the free articles and our YouTube channels and whatever, and on email. we get all these comments coming in that they want to talk about my hair, and they want to talk about, whether Steve really is better now, and they want to talk about all this stuff. Then the people who are paid members, and there's really quite a few, our membership is quite large now. Usually there's hardly any comments on those articles at all, because they're the people that are really getting in, reading the stuff and just saying, great, okay, I'm going to start applying this in my life. Then we get testimonials from those people that come back as emails. So I'm setting a challenge. Let's see if we can get something in between the two of those, where in the members area, or even on the free comments area with the blogs, let's start talking about the subject, because there's a lot to talk about. We need to help each other with scripts. We need to encourage each other with ideas, and just let's see if all of us can really help start working on our own codependence by, seeing if we can be better at joining in the activity at hand. Okay, thanks for listening, and have a great day. Hopefully I might talk to you tomorrow. Bye.